Okay. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. If you can take a seat, if you can find them. Ooh, that's a bit better. If your pins are a bit wobbly, there are some more chairs outside. Please go and feel free to grab one. Barry assures me he's going to talk for no longer than about 90 minutes today. So you might need a bit of rest. But yeah, a very warm welcome to the Royal Automobile Club, to Pall Mall, and of course the Pall Mall Motoring Spectacle, carefully curated outside. And we're on the eve of the 129th, I believe, veteran car run. So how exciting is that? I'm going to introduce you in a second moment. This is Barry Guest. This is our clerk of the course. He's going to go through some pretty key stuff for your information. There's not much for me to say, but I think you'll all be aware that we have got a new start this year on South Carriage Drive. The entrance into Pall Mall is the same. The more important thing, because he's going to do the actual logistical details, is where you're going to get your coffee tomorrow morning. And the cafe at Apsley Gate, which is where we exit, once you've started, will be open. The guys all fired up to do your frappuccino with ground avocado on the top. If you prefer something a little more military, we've got the household cavalry in the barracks providing tea and coffee, white or black, without or with sugar. It's when you drive in, it'll be sort of sector 9-10. So depending on what the traffic queue is looking like as you come in, you could either pull over in there, grab a coffee and take it with you, or park up and walk back. But the Army are promising military efficiency, so do go and see them. And it's quite nice to have a poke in their courtyard and see what they're up to. A couple of little bits of admin. Obviously, clubhouse is open, access all areas. We have got a very nice display of automobilia trophies, British Grand Prix trophy, the Lego British Grand Prix trophy in the Stewart room, which is the other side of the rotunda. Same floor as here. So if you come out and just follow the footpath round the rotunda, it's on the left. Please do go and have a look. There's some quite nice stuff if you're into cars, which I think you all pretty much are. Barry will say again, but if you can keep your questions till the end, so he can, once he gets into full flow, he's quite an orator. He's pretty keen on karaoke as well. But, yes. So without further ado, Barry Guest, the floor is yours. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ben. Yes, good morning. It's lovely to look out seeing such a wide group of healthy-looking people. Are you all looking forward to tomorrow? Good. Otherwise, there's no point in doing it. If you're not looking forward to it, there's absolutely no point in doing it. As I say, welcome to the 2025 drivers' briefings. Drivers' briefings are fairly important things, okay? And as you can see, I'm not going to sit here or stand here and read out all the information. I'm just going to be highlighting one or two things because, like everybody else, I have to slip my glasses on every now and then just to be able to see things. But really, it is about telling you the arrival at Hyde Park. That's the most important thing you've got to do tomorrow, because if you don't do that bit, you can't do the run. Okay, so please concentrate on what we're going to sort of tell you a little bit about how we've had to reassemble things. You've got to ensure that you and your vehicle are ready. Okay, please don't leave it until you get there to think, oh, I better check the oil, I better put some water in it, or I better do various things to the car. Try and get all that done before you get there. Okay, it is a new start location. Everybody knows that, don't they? Yes. Yeah, come on. Yes. The reason being because yesterday the company that looks after all the video turned up and they didn't know. And it worried us a little bit, the fact that maybe our messaging hasn't got through to everybody. But yes, we are on South Carriage Drive, which if you just try and picture it where you would normally have been on Serpentine Road, this is the road to the right-hand side. The entrance points to the park are exactly the same, okay, but you will not be going into the park and then getting to the top of the Serpentine and driving down. If you're coming in, and I can never remember the names of the gates, but if you're coming from over the Bayswater side, then you're going to turn straight in on South Carriage Drive, or if you're coming in the other side, you're going to drive through the park to the same junction. There is signage out there. There will be marshals out there. You shouldn't really be able to get too lost, okay? But as I say, please just bear that in mind. I have one thing as clerk of the course that I always have to remind everybody. I've been clerk of the course now on this event for 5 years, and it's a perpetual thing, driving standards. Okay, we are being watched quite dramatically nowadays. not necessarily by policemen, but by policemen with cameras. Okay, so we are very aware that we need to maintain our driving standards. So we will be talking a little bit about that as we go on. The route and any possible diversions of difficulties will be dealt with. At this moment in time, I'm pleased to say that there are no reports of any major issues on the route. Last year, we suddenly found we had a road closed. We don't have that. The only little bit that may cause a short delay is those people who are on the blue route when you split as you go over the bridge. And we all remember that as we go over the bridge by the Houses of Parliament, we split into the two routes. The blue one goes to the right, the red one goes to the left. Those going to the right will immediately come into a little bit of roadworks where they've just narrowed it down. Okay, just be patient. It'll take a couple of minutes to get through, and we will be monitoring and helping if there are any delays there. But then when you continue on from the blue route, you'll find that it's a very pleasant route with less 20-mile-an-hour sections, less roundabouts, less traffic lights, and it's a much more enjoyable sort of area. So if you are on the blue route, please don't think, oh, I'm going to go on the old red route. Try the blue route for a change. You will find that I think a lot of people prefer it nowadays. And then the special sections that we've got this year with support arrangements. I'm going to be talking a little bit about Hammer Hill, what we've had to implement this year, and then you need to know obviously what's going to happen when you arrive in Brighton. So that's the purpose of you all being here this morning. A lot of people are joining us online. A lot of people are also going to be watching the recording of this as we move on. Okay, so you arrive in Hyde Park. 2 entry points, Alexander Gate, Victoria Gate. Please be careful if unloading outside. One of the things that's been brought to our attention of late is that you lot are outside the park in the dark unloading your trailers. Can you please make sure you keep your lights on when you're doing that? Because it is amazing how many people are doing it in the dark, as it were. The paddocks are now on South Carriage Drive, arrive in plenty of time. Proceed along the carriage, South Carriage Drive, where you'll be met by the marshals. This year, when we assemble you, you're going to be put into both sides of the road. South Carriage Drive is a much wider road, so it allows us to have 2 rows, and you're going to be put in a herringbone fashion. So that allows you to pull almost away straight away. So please be sensible. If you have been allocated into a section, there is a specific reason why you're in that section. So please, if you're in, section number 9, please don't suddenly decide, well, I want to be in section number 4 and just drive straight through. Okay, there is a reason because it's the amount of cars that we can release at any one time. And again, I'll talk very briefly about that shortly. Check that you have on board. Again, I have to tell you these things. Okay, you should have a fire extinguisher on board. Okay, you should have a high-vis vest and a warning triangle. If you haven't, I'm sure we can let you know where the local Halfords is. But those are the things you are supposed to carry in your vehicles. Well, done my job now. And then we hope that we're going to have around 400 vehicles all trying to get down to Brighton as quickly as possible. Believe it or not, the first one normally arrives around about 9:45, because he does seem to think there seems to be some sort of unwritten pride of being the first car to get down to Brighton. What he does for the rest of the day, I don't know. To me, part of London to Brighton is the enjoyment, and the longer you're out there, the more gently you take it, the more fun you're going to have. Okay, very, very briefly, just an overview of the new sort of setup. You can see the 2 routes coming into the park and then onto South Carriage Drive. Well, I can't show you. The 2 routes coming in and then South Carriage Drive over there. As I say, you shouldn't be able to get lost, but please arrive in plenty of time to be able to get yourself sorted. At the start, collect your starter pack from the marshals. In the starter pack this year, you will find there is a small little box about the size of a matchbox. That is a monitoring device. Okay, it's not there so that we know that you've disappeared off to go and see your girlfriend or anything like that. It aids us knowing where the car is. To be honest, we don't care what you lot are up to. It's the car we're interested in. And the idea is that if you have a problem, okay, it tells us where you are and it speeds up all of our recovery process. What it does mean is that if you've broken down and you then call into the RAC man knows exactly where you are. He knows that you're in McDonald's car park rather than the road outside. Okay, so it speeds up that whole recovery program. It allows us to be able to estimate what time you're going to get into Brighton. So if you're still in Tooting at 2:20, we know that you're not going to get to Brighton by 4:30. So it allows us to give you that sort of information. We're not going to stop you. If you want to carry on, then by all means you can do, okay? But it also allows us that if we've only got 5 cars trundling around 2 hours behind the main field, that we haven't got to keep our 400 marshals out there just waiting for you. So we can do what we call a soft closure and let some of the marshals who have been out there since 3 o'clock in the morning disappear. So it's quite a vital thing for us. As I say, it gives us also some background information about traffic flows and what have you. It's not about you as an individual. That's what I'm saying. So please, please don't take it out and throw it away. One, it costs us a lot of money. Each of those, I think, is about £85, okay? And we did panic a little bit last year when we suddenly found a lot of them on the M23 doing 75 mile an hour. We do realise that you put the car in the trailer, okay? So please let us have the unit back. If you are going to retire, pass it to one of the course cars, which will come in to see you, as it were, and then they can turn it off, and then we know exactly what's happening. Okay? Please don't take it back to Scunthorpe or wherever it is you're going back to, because we then got to recover it through. But as I say, hopefully, in years to come, we're going to make this system publicly available, so where you've got your friends on the route, they can actually see where you are and moving down. Okay? As I say, we're not tracking you. We can do that by your mobile phones anyway. We all know where you are because of your mobile phone. So, as I say, please bear with us a little bit on that one. Okay, another little reminder. When you enter the park, you must have your lights on. We are all aware that you need lights on your cars. It is a requirement by law. Okay, we're not going to insist you've got them on when you leave, but we will be when you arrive. So please make sure that your lights work today, okay, and that they are on, because the marshal will be checking them and he'll be letting us know about cars that have not had them on there when they started. We'll be giving you adequate notice. We are still having to operate the 8-minute cycle for releasing vehicles. If you don't know the area, the first part of the event, you come straight out onto a very busy roundabout, which is now said to be the busiest roundabout in Europe. Okay, and it operates with 4 main feeders. What happens is we, in conjunction with Transport for London, actually turn all the lights that are feeding the roundabout to red for 8 minutes. That then allows us a batch of about 70 cars to be able to make their way out of the gate, cross the roundabout, through the arch, and then onto Constitution Hill, with just a little bit of sleeve at the end of it for those people that are a little bit slower than we thought. Everything then goes back to red, and it stays red for 8 minutes on our side. Everywhere else goes green. So you will have this new system where you'll be moved up towards the start line, and then you may well be held. If you're the guy at the front, you're going to be held much longer than the guy at the back. Unfortunately, not a lot we can do about that. But just bear in mind, as I say, you will be brought up towards the start line before you actually start, and then when we've got the clearances. Obviously, if there are emergencies going on, which we had 2 years ago, where you've got lots and lots of ambulances trying to get around that roundabout, then, you know, we have to make allowances for that. I will give you a little bit of a warning, though. We do also have 2 motorcycle policemen on that roundabout. They're not there to tell you off, but they will if they need to. Okay, they're there to try and stop the public trying to push their way across when you're trying to get across. Just a way of controlling the sort of area, as it were. Okay, so moving up to the start line, you'll be given adequate notice when to move. Pre-start holding area by the display of a 6-minute and a move now board. So in other words, they put out, and we'd like you to move in 6 minutes time, and then no one goes up, can you please move up to the start area? Okay, it can sometimes be that we can get you out a little bit faster, but it does mean that we can get the 400 cars launched onto the King's Highway by around 8:30, which is a mammoth undertaking, you can imagine. The pre-start start area, as I say, I'm not going to go through all of this. It really just sort of says that there may be a short delay, and be prepared to be held. When you're under starter's orders, okay, there's a set of traffic lights at Apsley Gate, so you may, for some unknown reason, be released from the start line, but all of a sudden the lights have gone because we've either run out of our sequence time, or it means that something is happening out on the roundabout. So rather than sending you across and leaving you stranded in the middle of the roundabout, then we'll hold you there for a very short phase. But most people will be able to get out and through. So we've got this 8-minute red light phase, 8-minute green light phase. Hopefully now people are beginning to understand how that all works. Pointing the way along the route, okay, there are a few key changes in directions, and specific information will be marked on the official road signs. There are somewhere in the region of 480 road signs out there as of tonight, I'm going to say 11 o'clock. By 7 o'clock in the morning, probably 60 or 70 of them will have disappeared because of the, should we say, the late night revelers. They make very nice pieces of memorabilia to hang up in your thing. So if you are going along and you expect to see a sign and it's not there, we will be trying, and the signage company haven't got an emergency system to try and get them back in place, but it won't necessarily always happen. If for any reason we have a major reason for diverting you, then what will happen is you'll be going along, hopefully in time, for us to be able to have had a course car who comes up to a junction where you are expecting to turn left. We've got contingency routes, and he may well be standing there with a big orange arrow pointing that way. He will have his high vis on and what have you, so it's not just going to be a member of the public, but what they're doing is we're trying to divert you around whatever the problem is. And then thereafter, there will either be VCR signs to direct you back onto the route, or there'll be more orange signs, depends on the length of the diversion. But if you do see somebody standing there with a big orange arrow going like that, that means there's a slight problem on the route ahead of you, and we're just going to divert you around. Hopefully, for the last 5 years, we haven't had to do anything, but we never know. We never know. And as I say, just follow those arrows all the way around. There is a route book that has now been issued. We introduced this, I think it's its 3rd year. It is a book of hieroglyphics and squiggly lines and God knows what else to a lot of people. However, a number of your colleagues have been using it and found it invaluable for the information because it also gives your navigator, your passenger, something to talk about. Okay. As you're coming up to the junction, they can turn around and say, in about 1/4 mile, and I do appreciate you don't have speedometers and mileometers and God knows what else on there, but what it does do, it gives them a chance to turn around and say, when you come around the corner, we're going to be turning right. It also gives you a little bit of an estimate of how much further you've got to go, how far you've travelled, and it also points out certain things on the route, such as the local Halfords or the petrol stations, which are always the ideal place to stop if you need to do anything on your car. Rather than on the side of the road on the red route, okay, which is a thing we have in the UK for our buses, and if you stop on the red route, you can be prosecuted. Okay, so please don't do what the guys did 2 years ago. We had one car, we eventually found him, he was on the red route, no drivers, no passengers, where were they? We're just down the road having breakfast. Okay, so as I say, we then had to organise getting the vehicle off the bloody red route. Okay, but it gives you all the sort of pieces of information, and if you do enjoy doing it, then please let us know, because it takes a few hours to put together. It's not something I necessarily enjoy, okay, but you know, if it's useful, please let us know. I think most people now accept that it's quite a good system, and a lot of other runs already utilise the same sort of system. Right, the route itself, exactly the same as it traditionally is. Does anybody know what the traditional route is? Well, it should be London to Brighton, that's about it, yeah. Why I ask that question is because every bloody year it changes slightly, okay, because obviously we need to protect you on your route, that we're not suddenly going to throw you onto the M23 or into, you know, big batches of fast-moving traffic and climbing up steep hills and what have you. So we do have to vary it. This year there is no variation on last year's route apart from 2 places, and they're very, very simple, and if you are studious and you remember the route, one of them used to be in Croydon, where you would come underneath the flyover, you go round to the left and then turn immediately right a little mini roundabout by a church. Okay, that took you into a backlog. It's as simple as that. It was used many, many years ago for other purposes, but it is a very narrow, horrible little road, and I think last year we had queues of about 45 cars to go up to the traffic lights. We're not going down there this year. You're going slightly left at that roundabout, down to a T-junction, turn right, and then back on the same route. So you probably won't notice a difference, apart from if you really have got a microscopic memory and you remember the route. The second one was, and this is a bit of a cheat insofar as we introduced in Crawley on the way into the halfway stop at the Horth, we used to go down a lovely piece of road called the Boulevard, which was just created, cost millions of pounds because it goes right past the town hall, all the new shopping centres and what have you, and then within 18 months they dug it up again to put a cycle lane in. I'm pleased to say they finished that work, so you're going back to that route. So you probably again won't even notice the difference. But those are the only two route variations, unless you are on a cycle. Anybody here on the cycling side? Okay. On the cycling side, we introduced last year on the A23, as you come down the very fast section where we have you coned off and you're on your own thing. Right at the end of that, there's a horror of having to get across to the right-hand lane to be able to go straight onto Brighton. You think that's fun in your car, you ought to try it on a cycle. Okay, trying to go across that fast moving road. So what we've done is we just asked you to go slightly around the corner. There is a cycle route. Get off your bikes and then walk across. Okay, so that's again the only variation for the cycles from the cars. Cars don't need to worry too much about that. Okay, red route, blue route. As I said to you, if you get onto the wrong route, don't worry about it. Just carry on. Just follow the signs. Follow the book. The book's got the information for both of them. Okay, please don't turn around and come back again. If you try and go back again, you are going to get lost. It's as simple as that. Again, I have to really, really emphasise this one. Please pay special attention to the junction at Merstham, the M23A23 junction, where we will have it as the picture shows it there, but you must keep to the right. On no account should you go down onto the M23. Those people that have been with the run will understand the reason for that. But we do have tremendous amount of infrastructure we put into that big sign saying VCRs keep right. We have marshals down there. We have, so please pay attention. If you're going to be asleep for the rest of the run, wake up for that junction, because otherwise, as I say, we will have a few issues to deal with. There are some stops along the way. Okay, anybody go to the church in Croydon? By all means, please do. We would just like to point out that is not an official stop. None of these are official stops. There's only one official stop on the way to Brighton, and that's at the Horth. But as I say, you all have various arrangements where you meet people or stop for a cup of coffee, or they do a lovely bit of cake here. Please do that. However, please just bear in mind that it's nothing to do with us. Okay, so if anything, that's down to you and them. Particularly those who go into the pubs for a Coca-Cola, of course. Nobody does that, do they? Yes. Right, so we go from Redhill down to the car's pit stop. We all know that there is a halfway stop for you to be able to have a cup of coffee and a bacon roll and do whatever you feel you need to. The Horth Theatre provides us with a fantastic area, which is solely ours this year. Previously, we've had to share it with various productions that have been going on, so we've had various members of the public having to get into there. But please remember to do that. Last year there was a little bit of a cock-up so far as there's only one sign that said turn left. This year there's going to be a lot more than that, and there's even going to be a marshal who's going to say go down there. But as I say, if you do have the time and you want to avail yourself of that stop, please do. Okay, emergency services en route just before you get to there. If you have something because one of your wheels is about to fall off, or there's something seriously wrong with your car, there is an area on the way in, again will be signposted, which is an emergency service area for where we are directing your support vehicles or your tender vehicles to be able to do that. Because we're not allowed to do any serious maintenance at the halfway stop. But this is a special area if you do. When your tender vehicles, as I say, this is part of their route, we ask them to go and park in there, even if you've got nothing wrong. And then what we've got a minibus that will take them down to the Horth where they can meet you for their cup of coffee and what have you. It's only a 5-minute drive, but as I say, if you do need some work on your car, please take it into there and you can do it. It's a confined, well, it's got a big fence around it, so you don't get members of the public getting involved and what have you, for you to be able to do any sort of major works and what have you. But as I say, if you're not, please get your tender vehicles and your support people to go in their park, because otherwise we will run out of parking space. We can't have trailers and vans and God knows what else into the Horth. But as I say, they can park there, jump on the minibus, 5-minute drive, and they'll be with you, as it were. The RAC obviously are extremely supportive of this event. They send out somewhere in the region of 30 patrol vehicles to be able to follow the route in waves. Okay, they will do their best to get you moving. However, they cannot take you to Brighton. Okay, so if you are fully broken down, okay, if you need to get to Brighton, then really that is down to you. Our agreement, which is they provide all the services, we pay nothing, okay, is that they are not obviously committed to do that. If you've got a separate RAC recovery service and you negotiate, then by all means, that's entirely up to you. But it's not part of our agreement. We do have people that will suddenly break down in Tooting, but because their trailer and their vehicle is in Brighton, oh, can you take us to Brighton? Unfortunately, there are two things about that. One, it means that we've got one less RAC men on the operation, but two, it's not really part of our arrangements with them. So as I say, please don't ask them to do that, as it were. At the pit stop in Crawley, it's a mandatory checkpoint. Okay, so when you go down there, before you leave, you've got your route card, just get it stamped or the hole punched in it, because that proves that you've actually been on the route. Okay. It's an information point. It allows us the information to be able to turn around to you and say, well, when you get down further down the route, it's flooded, as it was a couple of years back. So you have to be careful at these sort of places, or any diversions or anything like that. So it is our opportunity to be able to let you have some information about the event. As I say, get your route cards down. It is for the fuel stop for those people running on sustained fuel. You can go there or you don't have to go there. It's entirely up to you. As I say, if you don't go there, then you don't get your card stamped. So it causes a few little hiccups. As I say, tea, coffee, bacon rolls, but please no tender vehicles. If it gets further and you are running late, the checkpoint will actually move down onto the main road. So you can just go straight through. In the towns and villages and the spectators, along the route in some of the villages, particularly Staplefield, we had a review with regard to the approach road into Staplefield, which is about probably 3 miles after the stop. Those people that have done the run before will know what a beautiful village it is. It can tend to have thousands of spectators down there who failed when it came down to the parking test. Okay, because they do literally park all over the place. Okay, so you do need to be, but it is downhill, so just be aware of your approach speeds when you're going down into Staplefield. When you get to Staplefield, you can wave to everybody, and then suddenly by the time it gets to the end of the green, you'll find that the route stops for everybody but you or our official support vehicles. Okay, so if you've got people following you, don't let them come down into Staplefield because they ain't going to get through. It's as simple as that. We've got a full road closure that is being put onto the first of the hills. The reason being is that last year we did have some occurrences with, and I'll be kind, call them squadrons of motorcycles, okay, trying to out-drag everybody going up the hills. Now, it's all very nice for our marshals. They know how to handle you lot. You're crawling up the hill, whether it be at 5 mile an hour, 15 mile an hour. And we did have a fairly good relationship with the public, okay, who are also sharing that route. But as I say, last year it became particularly precarious with these motorcyclists as they were pulling 80, 90 mile an hour going up that hill as they're trying to overtake you. So to protect our marshals, we've actually closed that piece of road. Yeah? So if you've got your support vehicles and your tender vehicles, can you ask them to follow the diversion sign? It's only a very short little diversion, but it keeps them away and it'll help us try and keep that particular part of the route happy and safe. That's the notice about the big route change. And as it says there, it's closed to all traffic apart from veteran and official route vehicles, i.e. the RAC recovery people and our route cars, as it were. Okay, we are working very strongly with the residents. The people of Staplefield welcomed this idea because they are very aware of the issues and the dangers, shall we say, associated with the hills and people pushing cars and God knows what else. So they welcomed it. We want to maintain that. So please, if you can, comply with that. When you're heading for the hills, okay, on both of the hills, whether it be Clayton Hill or whether it be Hammer Hill, we will have tow assist vehicles. Okay, those vehicles are there. If you believe that you're not going to be able to climb the hill at a sufficient speed or a sufficient rate, just pull over okay, and just say I need some tow assistance, and it will give them something to do. One of the biggest problems I've had over the course of the last couple of years is I provide 10, 15 tow assist vehicles, and then they don't get to do anything. So they don't want to come back. So I'm not going to say I'm encouraging you to utilise them, okay, but please, if you are in doubt, just pull over and give them something to do, yeah? Otherwise we're going to lose them. There is also going to be the same facility in Red Hill, okay, which is a little bit more of an open road, which is where we take control of traffic lights. Generally, what we do is if we find we've got a particular set of traffic lights which are difficult to manage, we will take control of those lights, and then we'll have CSAS marshals being out there to be able to give you guidance and what have you. That's one of them, Stonepound Crossroads at Hassocks. There's a good example. You've got a very narrow major road going down into Brighton, but as you come close to the traffic lights, the marshals will give you some guidance maybe to go onto the right side of the road or whatever. Only do it if the marshals are giving you the guidance, because they're the ones who know that there's nothing coming down. You could go up there where that marshal's standing. You could go up on the right hand side and suddenly find a juggernaut coming the other way. Okay, so please do it with the marshals. They're well versed in what they're going to be doing. Okay, and we will be controlling and monitoring the areas as well. So just please bear in mind you're being watched. Pycombe dual carriageway. This is the section after the final climb up Clayton Hill. And what happens on that one is we direct all traffic to turn to the right, apart from the veteran vehicles and the cycles. Okay, and we allow you to go down the traditional slip road that then goes down with the A23 running along your right hand side. It is a narrow road. Okay, it is coned for about 1.5 miles. Please be patient. Don't do what some people did last year, and that is suddenly turn to the right, knock all the cones everywhere. Suddenly they're in lane 2, and then they're holding up all the rest of the public traffic. We reduce the speed for the public traffic, much to their annoyance, down to 40 miles an hour to make it safer for you guys, not only trundling along on the left-hand side in the coned area, but also when it comes to the end, where, as I said earlier, with the cycles, where you've got to go over to the right to get into the lane there. So just please be patient. I know that the guy in front of you might be a little bit slower, but it's only about 1 mile, okay? There are a couple of lay-bys along there, so if you do feel that you are holding everybody up, just pull in for a couple of minutes. You know, we all smile when a caravan does that for us, when you're going down the lanes and you've been following for 10, 15 miles, okay? It's the buggers that carry on going that annoy you, so just pull over to the left and let a few of them go through, as it were. But please, as I say, don't knock all the cones everywhere, otherwise it just makes a complete and utter mess. That's the thing about the cycle side of things, that if you're on your bike, just go around the corner, okay? You'll see the big signs will be up there, just saying as you go around that corner, you can then dismount, just cross over safely and get back on your bike and follow it all the way down to Brighton. Right, we're almost there, okay? VCR cars only in bus lanes. We have permission for you to use the bus lanes. It takes a lot of conversations with the bus companies, because Brighton's got probably one of the biggest bus operations that are going. So we do use those, but it is you only. It's not your support vehicles or anything like that. Okay, they will be ticketed. Okay, so please don't come back to us saying, oh, well, my daughter got a ticket, can you do something about it? Unfortunately, we can't. On the route into Brighton, and this is not a political statement, you will find that the roads are atrocious. Okay, up until the point where they've installed a new cycle path. It's beautiful after that. So rather than spending the money on repairing the roads, they've actually spent, and they've nicked half the width of the road that goes into Brighton, with a big curb on the side of my view. If you see anybody on a bike, can you let us know? Because all the time we've been down there, nobody goes along it. But it's a typical thing with cycle lanes and what have you. Not trying to offend Ben, who I saw coming in on his bike this morning. Please remember to stop at red lights, because do you know what happens if you don't stop at a red light? You get a ticket, because they're now all got little cameras on them, and they will take a picture, and then they'll send us a picture of you and say, right, can you please let us know who this is? There is another section in Brighton where we previously took you through what they call a bus gate. Okay, it allows you to go straight on, and you're going through an area where the buses are coming towards you at various rates and what have you. We dropped that because it became a favourite spot for spectators outside Poundland. A lot of people were saying like Poundland, yeah. Because what would happen is all the shoppers would just keep on pressing the pedestrians. You'd have to stop. We'd end up with 30, 40 cars in a row as people were going up taking pictures of them. So it became a bit of a problem. So we are asking you to turn left at that. This is outside the fire station. The only dispensation for that is it's a slight uphill, round a corner and then back down the hill. It's a bit precarious for the cycles, so they should have had a note that went out to them last night. They are allowed to go through because they can't get tickets. You can. All right, and we did notice quite a few of the support vehicles, again, went straight on through there last year. And then breathe. You've got to Brighton, okay? When you arrive at Madeira Drive, you approach the finish line slowly, please, okay? Because there's a fair bit going on. There are people doing interviews, there are people checking you in and what have you. Once you've crossed the line, hand your route card into the marshals and the monitoring unit, okay? If you don't, then we've got to find you. I know we know where you are, okay, but it is a bit of a pain having to walk up and down that area because we then come to your car, we got the monitoring unit, you'll know where to be seen, okay? There was one guy last year, we monitored him right the way through till Monday afternoon, and we caught him walking his dog. Because what he'd done is he'd taken it out and he'd just thrown it in the back of his normal car rather than keeping it in his thing. But it does allow us to do that, as I say, to follow. But please let us have them back. And then park is directed by marshals and head for the finishers reception. I don't get involved in that, okay? So that's for you to enjoy. I've yet to get there in time to be able to enjoy it myself. I'm told it's quite a nice environment and we've got a few special things for you this year. What do we expect from you? We need you to drive in a sensible manner. That means stopping at amber lights. That's what that amber light means. It doesn't mean you can accelerate, okay? It means that you need to be prepared to stop, okay? I'm becoming quite well known for the dash cam because I carry dash cam, so does all my course cars, and it's very hard to argue when we've got video of you going through a set of lights. And then you will be contacted by the organisation in one way, shape or form. Give way at roundabouts, okay? Be careful when you are overtaking others. The amount of lunacy that we see with one veteran car overtaking another, okay? Just please be patient and please be careful. It's not a race, okay? There's no prizes for being first into Brighton. There's no prizes for being last. Okay, the only thing is an enjoyable day. That's what you get out of it. You may be caught on the camera and then those reports will be taken seriously. In order to assist, I've got people out there this year and you may well see a sign propped up against a car that says driving standards observers. I bet you can't guess what they're going to be doing. They're going to be looking for you complying with all of those things and then they will be reporting to me. Okay, these are in particularly naughty places where people come out and then they drive down the wrong side of the road. And believe it or not, we've had footage where people have gone the wrong side of the keep left signs. The cars coming up towards them have had to go up onto the pavement to avoid the veteran. It doesn't do us any good whatsoever. You're the ambassadors for this particular organisation, this particular event. Please act like it. If you break down, if you must stop for any reason, always try and get off the road. You'd be stunned where people start trying to work on their cars, okay? We will obviously be, as I say, coming along, trying to move you, but try and get off the road if you can. If you need to work on your car, make sure somebody's keeping an eye on what happens. Again, we've had some very close calls, shall we say, with other cars, members of the public, trying to get past George while he's down here, messing about with his wheels and what have you. So please make sure you've got somebody watching what you are doing with regard to your safety. If the issue requires RAC services, then please call them. There is a telephone number for on the paperwork that we give you for summoning the help of the RAC patrolman. Please remember that Madeira Drive has a curfew of 4:30. It's not 5:30, it's not 5 o'clock, it's 4:30. The reason being because it all has to be gone by 10 o'clock. And if we stop waiting and waiting and waiting, we don't start work till 5:30, taking down the infrastructure. That means those guys are out there working till 11:30, 12 o'clock at night. Okay, and so we've got a curfew, so we will be enforcing. By all means, go to Brighton, arrive after 4:30, but as I say, you will find Madeira Drive will be closed. If you do retire, please let us know, call the number, just to let us know that you are retiring, and that way we can do the necessary we need to with regard to monitoring. If you do retire, can you please cover the ID plate that we give you? Just put a bit of tape across it or take it off or something like that, because that then signifies that you're no longer part of the event. We are taking responsibility for you. We're not just going to abandon you, but what it does mean is that the people can know that you're actually no longer part of the event. And then, as I say, hand over your monitor to one of the official route cars who will be coming along. Quick reminders. If you've got support vehicles, please ask them not to be right up your chuff. There is one vehicle, and I know who it is, but he has 5 support vehicles. They're all his daughters, and they've all got Range Rovers. So you can imagine the size of the train with him at the front doing 18 mile an hour and then 5 Range Rovers behind. If you're the next veteran after those Range Rovers, they're spoiling your day. It's as simple as that. So if you do have support vehicles, and we know that you perhaps need support vehicles, can you please just ask them to leave a gap, so if they're trundling along at 18 mile an hour and another veteran or a member of the public wants to overtake them, they can do that. Yeah? We prefer them not to be there, by the way, and they will not be allowed to go through the road closure areas anyway. ULIS charges do not apply to veteran vehicles, okay? They never do, because they can't trace you. It's as simple as that. Off your registration numbers just don't exist. However, your tender vehicles do. Okay, so they must be compliant with everything they need to do with regard to ULIS and congestion charges. There are 10 roadside checkpoints at the side of the road. You'll be going along, it say checkpoint D. That's only for us to record that you've gone past that point. It should be good for you because it shows you that you're on the right road. You don't have to stop. There's nobody there to take a time or anything like that. All they are doing is counting the number of cars that have gone past and then radio in to say, we're in Croydon, last 30 minutes, we've had 45 cars gone past. That's all. You don't need to worry about them, but as I say, they are there. They also give a little bit of a report. If you have a problem, you can stop and talk to them. They'll report in the information if you can't get hold of us. Okay, but as I say, no need to stop there. That's it. They asked me to kind of keep it fast and furious. So we're now into the point of any questions. Has anybody got any questions? Gentleman down here, can we just give you a microphone? And it better be an easy question.
I think it is. I believe that we are to pay congestion charge for the veterans today, but not tomorrow. Is that correct?
I'm not too sure you are. I think your cars are too old for congestion charge, aren't they? I don't know, because obviously I don't work for TfL. I don't know if anybody, are you aware of what the situation is? Yeah? I think for the sake of whatever it is, £10, pay it. Because it's a lot less traumatic than getting a fine. I think generally you'll find when you put your registration number in there, if it comes up, then you're going to have to pay it. It's as simple as that, yeah. So, yeah. I don't think it counts on Sundays, does it? I think it expires at 12 tonight or something. I think there's a time limit. Yeah. 12 or something rather. Yeah. I'm sure it's available on their website, so if you get a chance. Sorry? Saturday. Yeah. It's when it moves that's the problem. It gets monitored. Yeah.
Obviously fine. Towing with a tow vehicle that you pay, no problem. Right.
Clear as mud? Good. As I say, I haven't looked at the website because I've now set mine up automatically. But I believe that the website was fairly clear. And as I say, I think you should be able to work it out from there. Any other questions? Yeah. Yep. I know what he's going to ask. Yeah, indeed. Yeah, I asked him to remind me of this. There is one small error in your road book. Do you remember earlier I said about the small diversion in Croydon, that where you come under the underpass and we're keeping you left, and you then go down to a T-junction where you turn right. At the moment, the road book identifies that road as being the 325, as opposed to the 235. It's only because I live in Farnham, just off the A325, and obviously I just had a complete madness on it. But apart from that, the directions, the tulip, everything's right. It's just the road number that's wrong. So, any other questions? Stunning. I like this. This really makes it good. As I say, there are participant numbers and what have you for you to be able to call it if you do get any difficulties and what have you. All I'd say is please, please behave yourselves. Please, please enjoy it. To nick one of Ben's quotes was always about the weather. And that is, was it about the clothing, Ben? What did you say?
No such thing as bad weather, only bad clothing.
Okay.
Attributed to anybody, but good quote.
Okay. We honestly don't know because it depends on weather apps are a bit like your driving instructor. Everybody's got the best one. Okay. Every app you look at seems to be telling us different things. We believe that winds are dissipating. Okay. And I'm told that there's going to be scattered showers between here and Brighton. If you know where they're going to be, please let us know. But at the moment we don't. So just be prepared for a little bit of inclement weather. But hopefully it's not. It's going to be like last year. It's going to be lovely sunshine. Everybody's going to enjoy themselves. And we're all going to be going home or going for a drink tomorrow evening to celebrate the end of the 129th year of the London of Brighton. With that, we'll say thank you and we'll see you in the morning.